Hello everyone, we're going to do a quick demo on how to set up your Anytone D868UV radio. Currently I'm running CPS version 1.17 and firmware version 2.17. So this is the initial default code plug when you open up the code plug software. The first thing we're going to go through and just delete those channels. You can basically just highlight them and then hit the delete, not the backspace key, the delete key on your keyboard, and it'll erase those channels. The first thing we're going to do is set up some basic information here. There's not really much you can configure on the actual basic info, it just tells the radio model. So we're going to go skip right to optional settings. And usually what I'm going to do is leave it in channel mode and mem mode. That's the easiest way. You're not too sure what you're doing, just leave it in mem mode. Most of these settings you basically want to leave on default. There's a new setting here called digital monitor, which monitors all talk groups, repeater slots, and color codes on the set frequency that you have. I'm going to have it on. And also there's a record function. You can turn that on and off on the radio itself as well too. I'm going to basically leave all these settings here. I like to put in like my radio model number in the little startup menu. You can also set power on passwords and things like that. Most of these things you basically want to leave on standard. For what I do for some of these buttons, FPF1 I usually have for power. I believe I use this for Vox. I also do power. The FP1 is the first button below talk to 2. PF2 is the below, just 2 below the talk to push button. And the 3 is the little red button on the top. I always use the 3 power. I'm just used to my TYT MD380 and usually like that to have an easy access. P1 key is the actual P1 key labeled on the keyboard. I usually set this to monitor. And then 2 I set to switch between main and secondary channels. I don't really have anything set for the long press keys. I usually just leave that as default for now. You can set them to whatever your preference is. Everything else pretty much you can leave default. I usually set the brightness to 4. I leave GPS off. You can turn it on if you'd like. It's a little bit battery draining, and if you don't have a signal, it's kind of worthless anyway. I'm going to set my time zone and remote monitor fun. Those are some other functions that are talked about in the radio itself. So that's pretty much it for the actual optional settings. You can leave these all as is or customize them as you like. We're going to go up under digital and you're going to go into radio ID list. This is where you're actually going to plug in your radio ID that you have from the dmr-marc website that you registered for that identifies it to your call sign and everything. First thing I'm going to do is enter my actual radio ID number, and I'll usually do, I have 2 of them, so I'll do my 2 different call signs that I have. And this way on each channel you can actually identify which call sign you're using and sending out. So I can just leave that there. Everything else is pretty much the same. What we're going to do right now is import the actual dmr-marc database into the CPS software. You're going to go to the dmr-marc's website here, and under database you go to looking for a data dump, and there's a lot of different options we can use. You're just going to click on this link and download the actual file. It contains the entire dmr-marc database info. And I've already saved this file once here, and you note the file extension is .cgi here. So we're going to save this file. And to import the entire dmr-marc database into the CPS software, we're going to Tools, Import. You're going to go through and select Digital Contact List. And you're going to find that same file. First thing you're going to do is switch this little extension thing down to CGI. I'll go to Software, and we'll select that same file, Open, and Import. That was pretty quick. And now the entire dmr-marc database of all the users are all in here. You can see this listed here. You can go through and browse if you like, but it's a lot of numbers. So you can also set up some prefab like text messaging and other things here. So that's basically what we're going to do now is we're going to save our database or our code plug right here, and we're going to just name this demo test. Just at this point, it's always a good idea to save once in a while since the software is sometimes fairly buggy, and sometimes you have to go through and reopen it. So that's it for basically initial setup. I'm going to stop the video here. I'm going to make a second video to actually go through and program out your first code plugs and everything.